Well, hey friends, happy Saturday. I'm so glad you were able to hop on and join me today for this live Q&A session. Super excited to chat with you guys about all things Etsy. So if you are on, go ahead and type in the comments. Let me know in the chat bar that you're here. Let me know where you're watching from. Happy to connect with all of you guys today. And if you're watching the replay, welcome as well. I'm sure there's going to be some great information on this live stream today. So let me know where you're watching from. And if you have a question, it can be anything about Etsy, anything about online business, entrepreneurship, anything. You can go ahead and type in your question, but make sure to type in 4 question marks in front of your question. That way I know when I'm looking through them, which ones are the actual questions that need to be answered. It just helps me to distinguish those a little bit. So you're welcome to go ahead and type in your question if you know one that you want to ask. I'll be getting to the Q&A in just a minute, but that way we'll go ahead and have some coming in. Hey, Annie, so glad you could hop on. Hi, friends. I see several people coming on. How is everyone doing today? Watching from Los Angeles. Awesome. Yeah, let me know where you are in the world when you're watching this, and go ahead and let me know if you have a question. Make sure to type in those question marks. But first, I did want to ask you guys. So recently, I don't know if you heard the announcement from Etsy about the changes that they're making to SEO and how the search engine optimization works on Etsy. Before, it was actually only taking into account, the Etsy algorithm would only take into account your tags, your titles. So that's the keywords that are found in your tags and your titles, as well as your categories and your attributes. So, tags and titles are fields in your listing that you can manually input any keywords or keyword phrases that you want. And then the categories and attributes are also fields when you're creating your listing, but they're not like where you manually type in. They're like a drop-down menu, and you choose from pre-selected options that Etsy gives you for what category your product falls into, and then certain attributes. So just, things like color, size, material, things like that. So the more you could fill those in, the more SEO, the search engine optimization and the algorithm on Etsy would work to show you and rank you in the search to show you to relevant shoppers. So that's still the case, but Etsy just announced that they are now also looking at your item's description. So this has been something that people have talked about for a while now. Even since I began on Etsy, people would question if the keyword phrases need to be kind of like weaved into your description. And some people said it didn't matter at all for SEO purposes. Some people said, yes, still do it. It'll still help. But Etsy has recently just come out and said officially they are now looking at descriptions as well. So if you have not been kind of weaving in and adding in your keyword phrases into your description on your listings, you definitely want to start doing that. In addition to, still doing your tags and titles the correct way, making sure that they're matching as much as possible with your keyword phrases. The Etsy algorithm uses all those keyword phrases in their process of query matching, which is the first phase of, when a searcher goes on and they're typing in something that they're looking for into the search. The Etsy algorithm has 2 phases. The first phase is query matching. That's where it's going to actually decide which listings on the platform match what that searcher is looking for. And then the second phase is ranking. So once it's decided, okay, this is the group of listings on the platform, probably a huge group of listings that match that keyword phrase or the query that the shopper typed in, then it has to go through and figure out how to rank all of those different listings that are relevant. So it has to determine which ones are the best ones that it's going to show first on that first search results page to the shopper. They're going to show the listings that seem most relevant. And there's a lot of different factors that go into what makes a listing relevant. But one of them is having as much of an exact match in your keyword phrases to what that shopper typed in. So now not only are you putting those keyword phrases in your tags and your titles, but you're also going to want to organically weave them into your description as well, because that is now an SEO factor for query matching and ranking. You definitely don't want to keyword stuff your description. You don't want to just like throw all your keyword phrases in there and it makes no sense. But you want to organically and naturally weave them into what you're already talking about in your description, so that just adds that extra layer for boosting your listing for SEO purposes. So I thought that was exciting that Etsy officially came out and said descriptions do matter. Put your keywords in there, weave them in there. So yeah, definitely take a look. I would recommend, if you haven't done that in the past, take a look at all your listings and kind of revamp them a little bit to make sure that the same keyword phrases that you've used in your tags and your titles are also being put into your description as well. And don't forget about your categories and attributes as well, because those matter too. Even though they're not, you're not inputting the same keyword phrases, shoppers can use filters and categories. They can shop by that instead of the search bar. So you want to be found in all of those different places. You're more likely to be found by those filters if you're filling in as many relevant fields for your categories and attributes as possible. So super exciting stuff with Etsy, making some SEO changes. Let me know if you have any questions about that. If you have any questions about Etsy at all, you can go ahead and type it in the chat. Doesn't have to be about SEO. It can be anything about online business, anything that you're wondering. Go ahead and type it in the chat. And remember to put 4 question marks in front so I can easily tell which ones are the questions that need to be answered. Hey, Mary, thanks for hopping on. Hey, Julius. Hey, George, Cameron. So glad you guys could all join today on this beautiful Saturday. Let me know where you're watching from. We've got Oregon. Oh, Nigeria. Wow, awesome. We've got Poland, South Africa. Wonderful. Thank you guys for joining. Well, I'm going to take a look at our questions. I'm going to give it a few more minutes for people to type in their questions here. I did want to let you guys know about our course coming up. So we're going to hop into the Q&A. So go ahead and type in your question. But while I'm giving a few more minutes for that, I want to let you guys know, I don't know if you've heard our announcement or not about our digital Etsy success course that is on the way. It is currently being created. We're nearing the end of production for it. And so I'm hoping it'll be ready to launch by the end of June. That is our goal, is to launch this course by the end of June. So if you haven't heard yet, we are creating a full-fledged comprehensive Etsy success course for anyone from the person who isn't even on Etsy yet, but is just kind of interested in maybe opening a shop, to the person who's already been on Etsy for maybe years. And maybe you have made some sales, but you're still wanting to level up your shop and take it even further. So it's going to be comprehensive, A to Z, all about Etsy success. So I want to give you guys just a quick rundown of what the modules are, because when I say comprehensive, I really mean it, you guys. This is like all of the information that I wish I had had when I first started in one place. So you're not feeling like you're having to like watch all these videos and piece everything together. The goal of this course is to give you all of the information you need from A to Z to start your Etsy shop and to grow it to success and to scale it to bring in consistent revenue in a way that's doable, and it's all in one place so you're not piecing things together. So the first module is like a getting started module. This will just walk you through how the course works, and then the basics of Etsy. It'll give you, just for very new beginners, like what is Etsy for? What kind of products you can sell on Etsy? What are your options when it comes to different types of products? What sells well on Etsy? Then we go into module 2, which is your product and your branding. So this is a deeper dive into different types of products, how to know what sort of product to choose, how to niche down and get it really specific to decide what you're going to offer as your product. And also how to do trend research, how to figure out what's trending on the Etsy platform, because we know there's lots of different platforms you could sell on and they all work differently and they all attract a different audience. So you want to make sure, if you're choosing Etsy to sell on, that your product that you have in mind is in demand and the style that you're offering that product in is trending and will be popular and will be able to sell well on the Etsy platform. So, and then branding too is module 2. So talking all about your logo, your branding, your brand colors, your banner is part of that. Just taking photos that are cohesive, that all work together, your marketing materials, all of that goes into branding. And really on a deeper level, what branding is not just how everything looks and your colors. It's the idea and the gut feeling that comes to people when they start to get familiar with your brand and they think of your brand. That's also branding on a deeper level. It's what they feel when they first encounter your brand, when they think of it. What kind of emotion does it bring up? What kind of experience does it bring up in their mind and their heart? So we go deep into that, how to create a memorable brand. And then Module 3 is photography and SEO. So this is one of my favorite modules because it is so in depth about how to take good product photos. Even if you've never taken a product photo a day in your life, this is for beginners. This is for the people who need those first steps. And it's also for those who maybe have taken some, but just haven't really known the techniques to really level it up and make your photos look super professional, because we know photos, professional looking photos on Etsy are, I mean, those are number one. You have to have good photos to compete in the market. So I'm giving you step-by-step walkthroughs, demonstrations of how I take my product photos, different tips and techniques for backgrounds and props and lighting and equipment, all the things you need to know, as well as mock-ups. So if you're not taking your own, how do you find good mock-ups to use? How do you create them? How do you upload them to your Etsy shop? And then also SEO. So, Etsy SEO is probably one of the number one things that everyone asks about. It's confusing to people, and I understand. I've been there. I get it. It's hard to know how SEO really works and understand it fully. So this is a huge part of that module, is going through how the Etsy algorithm actually works, what goes into your SEO and optimizing your listings to be found in the search, as well as how to do keyword research. So I'm going to show you the tools I use to do keyword research. I'm going to show you how to do it organically if you don't have a budget to pay for any programs to use this, and also some options if you do have a budget for it, some great resources that you can use. You can do it either way and have success. But we do a deep dive into SEO and everything that goes into figuring that out and setting up your shop for success. And then the fourth module is setting up your shop. So this fourth module goes through step by step with screen recording, so you can see every single thing I'm doing, how to actually open your shop from the very beginning, how to get familiar with your shop manager, which has everything in it. It's where you create your listings, it's where you see your finances and your payment account. It's where you do your marketing, you set up your coupon codes, and you put in your shipping settings. It's kind of your hub for everything. So I walk through in different lessons each part of that shop manager, how to optimize your shop, looking at the shop layout, what the customer actually sees when they go to your shop page, and how you can rearrange things the right way. Just a step-by-step guide for the whole shop setup from the very beginning. And then the next module is marketing and community. So this is another thing I get a lot of questions about, is how do I actually market my shop? Maybe you already have a shop, but you just haven't been able to get a lot of traffic to your shop. How do you market it? How do you promote it on social media and through email and through working with influencers on collaborations, things like that? So we have a 3-step marketing roadmap that we go through in this module to give you step-by-step guidance on exactly what, in my opinion, is the best way to go about your marketing plan and to come up with a clear strategy to start bringing more traffic into your shop. Then we have strategies for success in the next module. This is just all my additional strategies that haven't already been covered in the previous modules. Lots of different, just kind of like gold nuggets of things that I've learned along the way that will just help you to level up even more. Just thinking of being really strategic with your marketing campaigns, with your shop setup, with how you're relating to others, your customer service, all of that. So those are all of the main modules of the course. It's packed full of value, but that's not all you get, because there's also a bonus module and a tech and tutorial module. So in the bonus module, I'm providing some bonus content specifically about digital products, specifically about physical products, specifically about print on demand. We have several guest experts that are coming in providing trainings for things like Pinterest, like a deep dive into how to use Pinterest for your Etsy shop. We have an Instagram expert. We have an email marketing expert, how to build your email list, how to do a welcome sequence in your email list, how to, know the right subject lines to catch people's attention when you're sending emails. So we have just a ton of great guest expert trainings that take a deeper dive into those specific areas if you're interested in, more detailed instruction for those specific things. And then in the tech and tutorial module, we have one thing which I'm super excited about. So y'all know my top favorite tools to use for keyword research and SEO research are Sales Samurai and Everbee. I use a combination of both of those. So I have actually the founders of both Sales Samurai and Everbee that have provided multiple tutorial videos for each of those tools for you guys. This is just for our course. I have reached out to them personally and been in contact with them personally, and they have created these videos for our Scale Your Sales Academy students. So you're not going to find these videos anywhere else. You're not going to find them on those websites. You're only going to find them within this course. So I'm just super excited because those kind of tools and resources can be really confusing sometimes to figure out how to actually use. So these are step-by-step walkthrough videos for both Sales Samurai and Everbee if you're interested in using either of those from the founders themselves. Couldn't get any better than that, you guys. I'm so excited. I am just so excited. So anyway, I wanted to give you guys an overview. This is really the first time or the first place that I've given an overview of what's going to be in the course. So that is the basic outline of the modules. There is so much great content in there. So I'm not announcing any more really like logistical details as far as enrollment yet because it's not available yet. We're still nearing the end of completion of the videos, but it's going to be launching in June, hopefully near the end of June. We have to get everything set up, but when it's ready to launch, I'm going to be announcing that through our waitlist. So if you're interested in this course and you want to sign up to get more details as we get closer, you definitely want to hop on that wait list. So I'm going to type the link for that in the comments here. It's also in the description of this video. It'll say sign up for the Scale Your Sales wait list. And that's just a place where you're not actually, joining the course by doing that. You're just hopping on the wait list to sign up to get updates on, enrollment and things, how to enroll and how to go about being part of that course if you're interested as we get closer. And like I said, that'll be towards the end of June. So if you want to sign up for that wait list, I'm going to go ahead and type it in here. It's just www.kate-hayes.com. It's also, the link should be in the description of this video. So you can hop through on either of those links and sign up for that wait list. There's also going to be some exclusive course only content going out as well. In addition to the updates about enrollment, I'll also be putting some exclusive content out just for our waitlist people. So it's going to be super exciting. Let me know again if you have any questions about that. I'm going to hop into the questions we already have here about Etsy. But if you have any questions about the course, feel free to ask that as well. I'm an open book about the course. All right, so make sure if you haven't typed in your question, make sure to go ahead and do that. And make sure to put those question marks, put 4 question marks in front of your questions so I know which ones are the questions. I'm going to try to get to as many of these today as possible. Okay. So the first question we have here is, what is the new best way to do titles and then not cram keywords in the description? Like, how is the best way to get keywords in the description? So what I personally do is I usually I form my tags and titles first, so I know what those are going to be. I do my keyword research, and then I figure out what keyword phrases I'm really targeting that are high search volume phrases. And then I put those in, I'll put those first in my tags and in my titles and match them as much as possible. So you know that your tags have a character limit. So, you may not be able to, if you have a really long keyword phrase in your title, you may not be able to put that as a whole phrase as one tag because it might be more than the character limit, but you want to match those as much as possible and then take those and weave them organically and naturally into what you're already putting in your description. So the way I like to do descriptions is I like to start with a hook, what I call a hook. So that's kind of the first sentence or two that really paints a picture for the buyer about more of the experience that this product is going to bring to them. So you're not just hopping right into the details of the product. Like the first line shouldn't just be like the measurements or the material that it's made out of. You do need to share all of those details, but the first couple lines to me should be something that's going to draw that buyer in to keep reading and kind of hook them in with some kind of like painting a picture of the experience that this product is going to bring to them. And it should be really conversational and friendly and warm sounding. So the best way to kind of weave your keywords in is to, I would say, start with that hook. And you can even, maybe put a keyword phrase or two in there if it fits. But as you're kind of describing, you're writing out your description of what this product is, keep in mind your best keyword phrases that you're really targeting. And you're going to write those in full sentences, so you're not just stuffing keywords. You're not just like putting a list of keywords. You're writing, something about your product in maybe a paragraph form or at least a few sentences, and you're organically weaving those keywords in so that it makes sense. You want it to be readable. You don't want it to just feel like it's stuffed in there and it's just confusing. It jumbles it up. So you want the whole thing to be really readable. And then after you've done kind of a written description with your keywords in there, then I usually have kind of more bullet point lists of the details that the shopper needs to know. So if it's sizing or different options that are available or material or, whatever you want to share, the nitty gritty details about the product, those need to be in there as well. But those are fine to do kind of more in a bullet point style if you want, or you can write it, in more of a written style. It's either way. But at that point, you definitely want to make sure that you're covering the details of what is in that product. So the buyer gets everything they need to know. We have the next question. Is email marketing good for Etsy? Yes, absolutely. Yes. So email marketing is something, in my opinion, that is very skipped over by Etsy sellers. That is kind of like an untapped giant when it comes to marketing. So I highly encourage you, if you don't have an email list yet going, to start building your email list. And this is actually, I mentioned in the course that 3-step marketing roadmap. Email marketing is step number 2 of the 3 steps in the course that we go over. So we take a deep dive into email marketing, how to build your email list, all of that. But yes, absolutely. Email is shown to be, by research, to have higher engagement rates and higher ROI, which is your return on investment. When you're pitching products and you're including links for your email subscribers to click on, the click-through rate, it's higher in all of those when compared to social media. So social media is also wonderful to use, but they just have different benefits. To me, email leads are much warmer. So the people that are on your email list have chosen to subscribe to you. They've chosen to click that email and open it up because they're interested in what you have to say. So they're warmer, which means they're more ready and likely to purchase from you, or at least to engage with you further, than say just someone on social media that happened upon your account. That's more of a cold lead. So email definitely is a great marketing strategy for Etsy sellers. Let's see, created by EJF. I'm excited I made it for live. Yay, I'm excited too. Awesome. Okay, let's see. Let's scroll down here and see what questions we have. Okay, George, this is a great question. George asked, if we have a listing that's doing well, shouldn't we not touch it because it will reset its rank? So I think you're talking about maybe trying to edit the description a little bit so that you can put more of your keyword phrases in there. In general, I would say yes. If you have a listing that's doing really well, try not to make many changes to it because you've set it up well. That's why it's doing well. But in this case, if you are talking about the description and the new SEO changes, I would keep your description as much as possible the way it is while adding in some of those keywords. So yeah, definitely don't go change the whole listing, but you can add a few sentences in, and that it won't like reset the rank. There's no like resetting, you know what I mean? Unless you completely come up with a new listing. But I think that you'll be able to sort of add some of those keyword phrases in and some additional sentences, and that won't change it much because you're not removing anything that's already been working. You're just adding to. So I wouldn't worry about it like resetting. If you were to take out like the keyword phrases that have already been working for it, like you were to completely take those out of the title and the tags and put completely new ones in, yeah, that would definitely change its ranking. But if you leave it mostly the same, and you're only changing a few things in the description and adding to, then that should be fine. Okay. Cameron says, hi, Kate, have you been using the law of attraction to get more sales? Honestly, I know the law of attraction is super popular for people right now. I don't buy into that. I'm sorry. Just have to be honest. And that's fine if that's your thing. But as I've been very open about, I believe that my first and foremost goal with my business is to honor the Lord. And so I believe he is the one that gives me all the strategies that I have, and everything that I've been able to do has been because of him, not because of the law of attraction. So simple answer there. All right. What tips do you have for the slow summer season to keep revenue rolling in? Great question. So for a lot of us sellers, the summer can be really slow. And Etsy in general, as if you've been on the platform at all for any length of time, you probably notice that it kind of goes up and down, roller coaster seasons. You'll be doing really well one season, it'll be super busy, and then all of a sudden it just kind of like falls off, and you can get discouraged because you feel like, well, what happened? I was just doing really well. But that's just, it's kind of the way Etsy works. Honestly, I've been on for over 7 years now, and I still have up and down seasons. And I've just kind of come to a place where I've gotten used to that. And I don't let those slow seasons discourage me anymore, because I know if I keep putting in the effort to do what I can to improve my shop day by day, even during the slow seasons, it'll pick back up at a certain point. So if you find that the summer is slow for you, there are things you can do to kind of boost your momentum to keep things rolling. So, some specific things I would encourage you to do is focus on marketing. So, you guys have heard me talk about this so much: marketing, 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 promoting everywhere you can. So, if whatever social media platforms you're on, double down on your promotion. If you have an email list, double down on your marketing through your email list. Do fun things to get your audience engaged again. It may just be that your audience has kind of grown stale and you need to kind of get some hype going again, get some momentum and excitement going again. So you can do things like giveaways or freebies or contests. You can collaborate with other sellers. Find a seller that's similar, like in your similar niche, maybe not a direct competitor, but somebody that's like a complementing seller. Does that make sense? So it's like, if I sold crochet baby blankets, and then there's another seller that sells like nursery decor or signs or something, they're not directly competing, but they complement. And so I can guess that their audience would probably be interested in what I have to offer, and my audience would probably be interested in what I have to offer. So you can actually collaborate with sellers like that, whether it be probably on social media. You could do a joint giveaway where you're both contributing some items from your shop as a bundle for a winner, to win. And so you're both promoting the giveaway on your different platforms, and you're both contributing to it. And so you're tapping into their already built audience, and they're tapping into your already built audience, and it's kind of a win-win for both. So I'm a big fan of collaborations, partnerships, tapping into other people's audiences that they've already done the work to build. That really gives you kind of a head start in terms of getting people to follow you on social media and kind of getting some of that momentum going. Hopefully that gives you some ideas. There's a lot of great just like marketing, promoting things that you can do in the slow seasons to try to drum it up a little bit. All right. Okay. Let's see. So this question says, do the sales and reviews on one of your store products help with the listings of other products in your store to boost them in the Etsy search? Okay, so absolutely, yes. There are several like ranking factors. When the algorithm is looking, it's doing that query matching and the ranking, right? Ranking is the second phase of the algorithm's process to figure out who to show in the search results. So that ranking process, there are several factors that go into that Etsy has been very open about, like, pay attention to these factors because these will help your listings. This will boost them and help them to rank higher in the search. So one of those is your shop score. It's basically an overall shop score. It's actually, I think it's called the community and market experience score. I think of it as like an overall shop score. So you have your listing quality score, which is the score for just that listing. And then you have your overall shop score, which is different. So your overall shop score is based on a lot of different things, but one of the main things it's based on is reviews from your shop, right? So it doesn't matter which listing your reviews come from. It's if you have 5-star listings, it's boosting your overall shop score. So yes, I do think there are differences in terms of like one listing individually as opposed to if it helps your whole shop and your other listings. But in general, I would say reviews are one thing that they come in for specific listings, but they help boost your overall shop, your market and community experience score. So kind of in an indirect way that helps your other listings, because every listing that you have, the ranking process is looking not only at that listing, but your overall shop score. So the higher you can boost your overall shop score, the higher it will affect and help every single listing you have. Okay, Amanda asks, is it best to match for unpopular keywords or should we be competing for the high ranking terms? Okay, great question. So this is SEO, talking about SEO, doing some keyword research, figuring out which keyword phrases are best to use in your tags, titles, description, all that. So there are different opinions on this. I kind of have two thoughts on this. The first thought is that when possible, you want to find keywords that are high ranking but low competition. And if you've done any research on this, that you probably heard this before. This is a very well-known kind of way to find a gap in the market, right? So we're looking for a gap in the market, which is a keyword phrase that people are searching a lot on Etsy, but there's not a lot of sellers providing listings with that keyword phrase. So there's kind of a gap, right? It's highly in demand, but the demand is not being met by the products offered. If you can find a gap in the market like that, you're gold. Like that is a great place to be when you can find a relevant keyword phrase that's highly searched on the platform, but low competition. There's not many other shops offering listings with that keyword phrase. Now, with that said, I found that it can be really hard to find gaps in the market, honestly, because there's so many sellers on Etsy now. Pretty much every product is covered, like time and time again. There's so many sellers, so many listings. So it can be hard to do that. It can be hard to discover a gap in the market. So when you're kind of like, well, I found some really high ranking search terms, but they're also high competition. What should I do? I always go for the high ranking search terms. I want to use search terms that are high volume. And honestly, you can use a mix, right? So you can use some of those ones that are high search volume and high competition, and then some that are maybe lower search volume, but they have lower competition. So you might break through easier, right? I would suggest kind of trying out a mixture of both. But I personally tend to, if I have to kind of choose one or the other, I go with the higher searched terms, right? Because I want to make sure that I'm using keyword phrases that are actually searched a lot on the platform. So don't forget, SEO with your tags and your titles and your keyword phrases is something that is kind of always shifting and moving. So once you put in a tag, tags and titles for your listings, don't feel like you're stuck with those. You can always change them around. If you find that after a couple months, this one listing is not being found, it has no traffic, change them around, try different things in your title, your tags, and your description, until you find something that works and starts to bring people in. So it's kind of an ever moving, shifting thing. All right, let's see. Okay, Diane asks, what is more important, your shop name or your real name when you tell people to find your shop? I'm thinking about changing my shop name, but maybe that doesn't matter. It's all about keywords. So I don't know that I'm understanding this question fully. So correct me, Diane, if I'm not understanding what you're asking here. But if you're telling people how to find your shop, I think that's what you're asking. If you're telling people how to actually find your shop on Etsy, definitely your shop name. Go by your shop name. People can type it in and search for your shop name. Now, remember, shop names on Etsy don't have spaces, so you might want to give them the heads up that they may not find it if they type it in with spaces. Sometimes that can be confusing, but if they put it without spaces, they should be able to find your shop. Okay, let's see. Natisha, hopefully I'm saying that right, asks, currently have 90 items in my Etsy printable and digital shop. Awesome. So self-care, mental health, and niche, self-care, mental health niche. Any tips for consistent growth and turning this into full-time income? Yeah, so it sounds like you've got a good start with several listings. You have a clear niche. So at that point, the key is promotion and marketing. So of course, you want to still improve your shop as you can. If you need to improve your photos or your SEO or things like that, you're always kind of working on that and improving. But once you have a good, if you feel like your listings are solid, everything's solid, you've done all that upfront work, what do I do now to grow it? Marketing is the key. So you want to hone in on, like I mentioned before, inside the course, we talk about the 3-step marketing roadmap. To me, these are, just in my opinion, the top 3 marketing strategies that work for Etsy sellers that I have personally seen success with. And this is social media, email marketing, and influencer marketing. So that's collaborating with influencers. So I would encourage you, of course, there's all different types of marketing. You're welcome to do any kinds you want. If you already have a blog going, that's a great thing too. Lean into whatever you already have going. But those three to me are the most worth your time when you're digging into marketing efforts and promotion efforts. And, as much as you can dig into those and continue to build and grow your audience, it's just all about growing your audience. So the more you can get people onto your email list, the more you can be providing them with valuable content that builds that know, like, and trust factor, right? You want to give them content that's not just selling to them all the time, but is actually solving problems that they have and giving them free answers, like valuable knowledge. That, think about your target audience and what their pain points and struggles and questions are, and provide them content, whether it be through an email, whether it be through a blog post or a social media post. Give them content that helps them solve their problems, within your niche. Of course, it all needs to be related to your niche, but you definitely want your audience not to feel like you're just selling to them all the time. So the more you can give that kind of really valuable free content that helps serve them and answer their questions, the more you will begin to build that know, like, and trust. That's when your audience starts to know you, they like you, and they eventually trust you. And when you can build that know, like, and trust factor through your marketing efforts, when they finally really have built up trust with you, that's when they're a really warm lead to convert into a customer when you do pitch your product to them. Good question. Cameron asks, hi, Kate, how many listings should I have in order to get my first sale? I do Christian Imperial print on demand. Okay, great question. So this is not really like a cut and dry answer either. There's several different opinions on this, how many listings you should have, when you first start your shop. I encourage people to have at least as many listings as makes your first page, your shop page, look full and established. Because, if you launch with only two listings up on your shop page, it can be kind of a quick turnoff for people that land on your shop page, because it just appears like you're not established, you're not professional. So I would say at least shoot for maybe 10 to 12 listings before you actually launch your shop to the public. If you've already launched your shop and it's already open, that's totally fine too, but try to build up to that number at least before you start kind of really promoting. You want, when people come to your shop page, for it to feel, at least on that first page, you may have multiple pages of listings, and that's great. But I think just a full first page, like 10 to 12 listings, is probably great. That doesn't mean you can't get a sale with less than that. Of course, I think I probably had less than that on my shop page when I got my first sale. But if you're shooting for like really launching the right way, making it look really established, I would shoot for that many. Okay, music lover, good question. Hi, Kate. How are we supposed to use popular keywords to break through, since my niche is pretty popular, but I love what I do? So yeah, many niches on Etsy are going to be very popular and pretty saturated at this point. So the question is, like, how do you use those highly ranking search terms and still break through all of the competition? That's a great question, and one that is definitely like not a cut and dry answer. In my opinion, what breaks through the most, yes, it helps to use keywords that are not that don't have a high competition. But what breaks through the most is a combination of having a product that truly is in demand, right? So certain things are not in demand and they're just never going to be selling because they're not in demand. So combination of in-demand product, but not just that. You need to take it a step further with your product and offer it in a trending style. So if you've been around my channel, you're probably sick of hearing me say this, but this is what has worked for me. And I have to say it over and over again, because you have to offer it in a style that's popular and really selling like hotcakes, on the platform at the current time. So this doesn't mean that you're just constantly month by month changing. I'm not talking about that quick of like changing trends. I'm talking about major trends that are either on the rise or popular at the current time, that stay around for a little while, like maybe a year or two, or even more than that. But so I'm not trying to put pressure saying like you have to just constantly be changing and following these crazy trends. I'm talking about, for instance, farmhouse, right? If you're in the home decor niche, farmhouse style or aesthetic would be an example of a trend. It's a certain style that has been trending and popular for several years now, right? Still hasn't gone out. Now, other things have come in, industrial, modern, that's also very trendy right now. So there are different things that can be trending together at the same time. And farmhouse, I would say, is probably on its way out a little bit now, but it's still very popular. Like home decor, if you offer home decor that's either farmhouse or like modern industrial kind of vibe, either of those, like you're probably in a really good spot because both of those are really super popular. There are other aesthetics and things within the home decor niche that probably aren't quite as popular. Doesn't mean that you won't make a sale when you have that style. It just means that people are not going to be buying them like flying off the shelves. You know what I mean? So if that's what you're looking for, is that type of bestseller listing that's just flying off the shelves, it has to be a product that's in demand, trending, popular style. And then beyond that, those are the first two steps, getting your product right. Beyond that is marketing, promoting, spreading the word about your shop. Because like I've talked about before, the Etsy algorithm, you really cannot rely on it when you're first starting or before you've made several sales to show you high up in the search in front of people organically, right? That will eventually come. That's our goal. Our goal eventually is for the algorithm to pick you up, your listing, and show you organically on the first couple pages. But in the beginning, you can't rely on that because the Etsy algorithm works highly on sales volume. So until your listing has made some sales consistently, it's not going to like register with the algorithm. Does that make sense? But once it starts consistently making some sales, it's almost like the Etsy algorithm's like, oh, like it registers. It takes notice of your listing and starts to raise it and boost it higher and higher, which is kind of like a cycle. And then you get more and more sales as you get boosted. And at that point, you've got momentum going and it carries you through like to make a lot of consistent sales. So to me, the most important part before you've made those sales and you're still not really registering with the algorithm yet, is to get your own sales on those listings, like drive sales to those listings from your social media, from your email, from family and friends. I mean, I know not everybody has that circle of family and friends, but if you do, tap into those people who want to support you, they love you, they want to see you succeed. I would say my first probably like 10 to 20 sales came from friends and family that I promoted to, and I just shared about my shop and said, hey guys, look what I'm doing. Just opened my shop. I would love to give y'all a discount, like family and friends discount. I offered like 50% off my family and friends just to get some sales coming in, and then once your listings start to get sales, that's when the algorithm takes notice. It'll organically boost you. And you can, at that point, you don't feel like you're having to constantly be promoting on social media or constantly offering these huge discounts or, constantly trying to drum it up, because at that point, the momentum kind of carries you. So hopefully that makes sense. I do think in the beginning, breaking through comes down to having a great product and promoting it with incentives like discounts, deals, things like that to get some sales in to boost it in the search, if that makes sense. Uh-oh, hold on. I'm sorry. My chat just totally changed and I lost my place. Okay. Sorry, y'all. I lost where I was. Okay, here we go. All right, Pauline asks, would you be willing to look at people's individual Etsy stores and see what they can do to improve them? Yes. So Pauline, I actually offer this in a shop critique. It's deactivated right now because of the course, because all my energy and focus has been going into the course. But after the course has been launched in June, I'm planning on reactivating that shop critique. It's in my shop. It's a full video critique of your shop that you can order. So I take a look at your shop. I walk through step by step, all like looking at your shop page as a whole and what things you've done well, what things you can improve on, and then also taking a look at one of your individual listings and the components of that listing to see same thing, what you've done well, what can be improved upon. And so I send you the video of that shop critique as well as a PDF guide that is kind of just like a bullet point list of action steps. So I do offer that normally, though it won't be available now until probably July. But after June, after the course launches, it should be up again. Okay. Is it better to keep trying to optimize an existing listing, changing tags, title, keywords, images, etc., or is it better to duplicate the listing and make changes there? So you can do either. I would say if the listing, let me make sure I'm giving you the right answer on this. So I've seen people do both. Let me word it like this. I've seen people do both. I know that you are technically you're not really supposed to have duplicate listings of the same item. But if you're testing, if you're testing what keywords and stuff work best, it might be okay to do for a while. If you're kind of just testing your tags and title keyword phrases and you're wanting to try both. If you have a listing that has already been performing well, again, like we talked about before, I don't know that I would touch it that much. Cause like it can get to a point where you're experimenting so much that you kind of ruin a good thing. So like I have listings that have done really well and they've become bestsellers and I'm not touching those listings, because like there's a reason they've done well. So I think you just have to be careful in terms of change. You do want to experiment with things. If it's just not working at all, you do want to experiment with some different keyword phrases, but you kind of have to know where that line is. So as far as changing things around on your existing listing or making a duplicate, it's up to you. I would have to research that a little bit further because I'm not really sure if Etsy has specifically said if that's allowed or not. I think that's the question is like, I would have to look it up and see if that is specifically allowed on Etsy to duplicate the same listing and test things. Home Music Lover says, I saw a cat. Yeah, my cat's probably walking around in the background there. She's keeping me company today. All right, let's see. Amanda says, is it a good idea to start my title with as many descriptive terms and adjectives as possible, or should I try to get right to exactly what I'm selling? Good question. So in your title, specifically, you want to use exact keyword phrases that you've researched. So I do think it's okay to use adjectives and descriptive words in your keyword phrase for your title. If it's been shown like in your research, let's say you use Sales Samurai and you looked up that specific keyword. So let's say it's a scarf. Let's say you're selling a silk scarf. So maybe silk scarf is a good keyword phrase, but then you're wondering, should I put blue silk scarf if it's blue, or should I just leave it at silk scarf? I think that, well, in that specific scenario, blue would be good to put in there because it's going to register, also with your attributes, which would be like the colors of your product and stuff. But you want to make sure whatever keyword phrases you're using in your title, you've researched, and that whole phrase with those words together is shown to be highly searched. So this is a little harder to do, organically if we're not using a tool like Sales Samurai or something like that. But you can do it just to see what keyword phrases. Remember, in your title, you're using separate keyword phrases they're separated by either a line or a dash or a comma, so that the algorithm knows these words go together as a phrase. These words go together as a phrase, and it's not jumbling and confusing. I definitely would never use an adjective or a descriptive term in your title alone as its own keyword. Like I would not just put blue, comma, and then your next thing. I would always include it with a higher searched keyword phrase. So it's describing that phrase, if that makes sense. One other note on that too is that I think it kind of depends on what sort of adjective or descriptive term you're thinking of. So let's say you're thinking of like using a color, for instance, like blue silk scarf. Silk is also a descriptive word, so you're using two there. That would be different than saying like printable wedding invitation, right? Printable actually is a descriptive word, but it's also the name of a product, like a thing that people search on Etsy as a product, like printables, right? So that would be a little bit different in my opinion. Like printable wedding invitation to me is like a solid that goes together. It's a solid keyword. Like you don't really want to remove any of those if that's what you offer. But blue silk scarf, you could remove one or the other. Like you could say blue scarf or silk scarf or put it all together. So it's a little bit different. I think it depends on, is your adjective or your descriptive word something that's kind of optional, like it just gives extra information, or is it really needed to communicate what that product is? Because printable wedding invitation is very different than just a wedding, like a printed wedding invitation. You get what I'm saying, right? So if it's something that really needs to be communicated and it's important information, you definitely need to keep that in the title for sure. Let's see, which currency is the best to set your shop? USD. So this is whatever currency you use. I would set your shop up in it because Etsy can, it has currency conversion and things like that. So it doesn't really matter. You just want to make sure that your whatever like you've originally set up for your shop, that everything is consistent across the board. And Etsy will handle it for shoppers that are using different currencies and things like that. Okay. Some of these questions I think are repeated. Okay, Cameron, I think I answered that first part of your question, but then you asked, should I change my product because I don't see it performing well? So this is a tricky thing. I think that you do need to be willing to pivot and change your product niche if over time, if you just see it really struggling, like you just have made no sales, it's basically dead, that can be an indicator. If you feel like you've done everything else, you feel like you've optimized your listings, you've gotten great photos, you've marketed it, you've done everything you can, and it's just still not working at that point, and I'm not talking about after 1 month, I'm talking about after maybe a year of trying this, then it could be time to maybe really look at a huge pivot to a totally different product type. But if it's something that like is selling some and it's just kind of inconsistent, but you have seen some interest and you've seen some sales, I would give it a while. I would hate for you to just change like too quickly. If you've only been trying it for a month or two, that's really not enough time to see the data, to base things on the data and the analytics of how it's worked. So you do need to just sometimes give it some time, I think, to see over time, like a broad picture of how well this product is going to do. So that would be my first recommendation, is give it time. And make sure before you decide to like totally shift your product type that you try everything else you can to, all the things I mentioned, really optimize your listings, like really dig into SEO, really dig into product photography. If it's hard for you to look at your listings and kind of be objective, sometimes it helps to have somebody else come and look at your listings and give you feedback. And you say, what part of this listing, like what would be the 1 or 2 parts of this listing that would make you not want to purchase? Like, be really honest, like have people be honest with you. Is it the price point? Is it the fact that it's not customizable? Is it just unprofessional looking? Are the photos not quality enough? So once you've done all that, right, you want to do all of that. And then if you feel like you've done everything you can, it's been a while now, you totally can pivot and change products for sure. Okay, let's see. Amanda asks, I consistently see titles with multiple titles in one divided by symbols. Is this the best way? And if so, will repeating words in the title show importance? All right, so this is another thing that's kind of an opinion thing. Etsy has said certain things about this. So yes, the way I've always done my titles, I can only speak from what's worked for me personally. So the way that I've always done my titles is I have used separate keyword phrases that I've researched, and they have been shown to be highly searched phrases, separated by a dash or a line, right? So like I mentioned before, that helps the algorithm know these words belong together, these words belong together. So it's not trying to put all 20 words of your title as one phrase, because that nobody searches for that, right? You want the algorithm to be able to specify what the different phrases are. That's why you separate it by symbols, which would normally be a line or a dash, right? And it also makes it more readable for the buyer, right? So when somebody's looking at your listing, you don't want it to seem jumbled and confusing. You want it just immediately to be very readable for that buyer, that's what helps with that, is separating the phrases. Now, repeating words, so I'll give you the specific word from Etsy on this and then what I have seen, because it's a little bit different. So Etsy says that you don't need to repeat any words in your title, that the algorithm can actually naturally kind of piece together words that are in your title, even if they aren't in a phrase together. So they recommend that you diversify a little bit and you use different words to try to reach more people with those different words, if that makes sense. With that said, they've also said if there are like two or three phrases that you find that are really great phrases, like highly searched phrases, and they have repeating words, it's also fine to do that because you're tapping into the like that one specific phrase. It's a great phrase when it's all together, right? I don't want to leave off this word. So they've said it's fine to do that too. And that is what I have normally done. So for my wreath listings, I'm not afraid to like repeat the word wreath in several different types of phrases. Like I might say farmhouse Christmas wreath, or I might say hydrangea wreath, or customized initial wreath. I'm not afraid to like repeat the word wreath. And honestly, I would feel a little weird if I did, because the word wreath doesn't have many other like synonyms, right? Like other words that I could use, door hanger maybe, or hanger itself or something like that. But like with that specific product, it would feel silly trying just for the sake of like finding a different word to not repeat, to like put in a word that just wasn't working. Didn't make sense, you know? So that's kind of both. Like Etsy has said, it's kind of one way, but it's okay if you do it the other way. I've done it the other way and have seen a lot of success from using repeating words. Now, also, don't feel like you have to repeat words. If you do have a lot of synonyms, like words that can be interchanged, definitely use varying ones too, because that does reach more people. Like if somebody is searching for the word, for a different word that, you know, basically means the same thing. Like somebody might say card instead of invitation. Definitely try to find ways that you can use both to expand your reach. Okay. Okay, Cold Water asks, which one is the best to make seasonal products or trending products, or both? Both. I think both for sure. I think it's great to have a mixture of a lot of different types of things for people to choose from. So seasonal, definitely. I mean, seasonal has been a win for me time and time again. Finding a way that I can make Christmas styled things, Mother's Day styled things, Father's Day things, fall, you know, like people a lot of times on Etsy are searching for seasonal things. So definitely any way that you can, I would try to think of the upcoming season or holiday and create some products for that and promote that before, you know, a month or two before that season or holiday is coming. Trending products as well. I think when I say trending, I guess I'm thinking more of like style wise. So, for instance, if you're making like baby onesies, right? You're making them in different colors and patterns, and you're using different materials. So you want to do some research and make sure that the pattern, let's hone in on pattern for this example. The pattern you're using for your onesies is not an outdated pattern. So for instance, like if you're using a pattern for your baby onesie that's like a 90s kind of, maybe that's a bad example because 90s is kind of like coming back in style now, but I'm thinking like a cartoony like teddy bear, as opposed to like the trendy, I'm sure y'all have seen these trendy like modern fox patterns, like a little fox. It's like it looks way more modern and simple and clean, you know. That's going to be a better seller than the cartoony teddy bear pattern, right? Not to say the cartoony teddy bear pattern won't make any sales, but if you go with the trendy style that's like currently really popular, it also could be just anything modern, like specifically in that niche. I'm thinking of these little modern like triangles, like the little black triangle pattern, or boho, anything boho, you know, like these are really trendy things right now. So that's what I think of when I think of a trending style for your product. I'm not necessarily thinking that the product niche itself is trending or not. I'm thinking of the style you're offering it in. It could be the material. Maybe there's a certain material that's trending right now over others. So the only way you know that is to do some trend research and to figure that out. We do have, I'm not sure if any of you have seen, I talked about it on our last video. We do have a trend elements cheat sheet that is available to you guys for free. I think the link for that should already be in the description of this video. If you're interested in downloading that, it's a cheat sheet with 85 trend element prompts. So these are just different trend words to get your brain going and give you some ideas of things that might be trending style wise for your products. that could give you some just kind of some prompts and some ideas of what to hone in on when it comes to trending styles. So definitely grab that. If you haven't downloaded that yet, the link should be already in the description of this video. Great question. Okay. See, Epic fails short. Suddenly I'm not getting any sales. Yeah, unfortunately, Etsy is it's very up and down. So there have been seasons where I have been like overloaded, crazy sales coming in all the time. And there have been like crickets during some seasons, even now, like even when I've been on it for over 7 years, it is just seasonal, right? So depending on your niche, it's different for every niche. But in every niche, there's going to be times of the year that are more popular and times that are slower. So what I have come to, I used to get really discouraged when I would feel like things just completely died or dropped off, but I've been on long enough now to see it ebb and flow. And so I don't get discouraged anymore during the slow seasons. I use those times intentionally to grow, like to dig in and really improve my shop, to really market, to really grow my audience. I'm using that time, not just sitting kind of like sulking with the fact that I'm not getting any sales. I'm digging in and doing what I can to like really level up during those times. So don't get discouraged, but don't give up improving either. Make sure to be really objective and try to improve your listings in your shop little by little. It makes a big difference for sure. Okay, we have, is it worth it to start a print-on-demand business with Etsy? So yeah, I mean, I definitely think print on demand is a huge niche on Etsy. So I'll say a few things about it. I think it's definitely worth it if you do the right things to have the right strategy and break through the market. It is a very saturated market. So that's because it's popular. That's, in a way, it's a good thing to have a saturated market because it proves there's demand for your niche, right? So it's a good and a bad thing. It proves there's demand, which is great. But then if it's a little saturated, you have to work a little harder to break through. So I would say if you're willing to put in the effort that it takes to break through in that market, which is totally possible. I mean, people do it all the time. So don't think it's impossible to break through a saturated market. It definitely is. I'm living proof because I'm in one of the most saturated markets on Etsy there is. Definitely possible, but it's only possible if you have the right strategy in place and you know what you're doing in terms of like your SEO. You got to really put some research and learning into how to do SEO the right way, how to take good product photos or use your mock-ups, how to find good mock-ups if that's what you're using, how to promote. You really have to dig in. If you're not willing to promote or market at all, then maybe not. But if you're willing to put in the effort, it can work for sure. Let's see. This one says, what is considered a low competition? 50K results, 20. So I use Sales Samurai to do my research, and on Sales Samurai, anything above, like it doesn't even show anything above 50K competition. So that's like the highest it goes. If it's at that, it's like way up there. So it really just depends on your niche, like what you should be looking for. There's no like right or wrong answer here. I tend to start when I'm doing my research. So I don't know if y'all have seen any of my Sales Samurai Chrome extension tutorials on the channel. If you have, you've seen how the Chrome extension works, which is what I use to do that gap in the market type of research. Like we're talking about comparing the search volume of phrases and the competition, right? So I go on that Chrome extension, I type in a phrase that I want to research. And on that Chrome extension, you can actually filter. You can say, don't show me anything that's more than this amount of competition. You can limit the amount of competition and show me at least this amount of search, like Etsy search volume, right? So you can use those filters to determine what it's showing you in terms of search volume and competition. So when I do that kind of research, I start really low with the competition. Now, normally there's not many keyword phrases or like related phrases that come back. Because I'm so low. Like I might say, like, don't show me any phrases that have more than like, 2,000 competition or something really low. And then if there might be like 2 phrases that come back. So I gradually increase it in the filter until I find some that are on the lower end. They may not be like what I would really love to have like that low, but they may be doable. So, and like I said, at the end of the day, I sort of take competition with like a grain of salt. I'll look at it and try to find gaps in the market with low competition, but in general on Etsy, very few niches are going to have low competition at this point. So I more so focus on finding highly searched, like really good, highly searched phrases. Michael asks, where is the best place to do mock-up photos for products? Great question. So there's a lot of resources, a lot of websites, different places that you can find mock-ups to use. My favorites are probably placeit.net. So I actually have that linked in the description below too. Placeit is a platform that it's a monthly subscription. Right now, actually, I think they're doing like a limited time deal. I think I saw it was like $6 a month right now for their, I want to say for their unlimited package. Y'all can check that and make sure. I looked at it recently, but Placeit is a great place because not only do they have tons of product mock-ups that you can use, they have social media, like logos, they have social media templates, they have video templates. They have like pretty much everything that you would need for graphic design purposes, whether it be for marketing or for your actual shop, for your listing photos. So I would check there first, placeit.net. Use my link in the description below. That's my affiliate link. So I do get a little bit of a kickback when you use that link. But I genuinely love them. Y'all know I don't ever tell y'all about anything that I don't genuinely really love and think would be a valuable resource. So Placeit is a great one. Also, with that subscription, you get commercial usage. So that means you can commercially, like for business purposes, use any of the templates, anything that you have available to you on that website, as long as you customize it first to make it your own. Another great place for mock-ups and any kind of like graphic design assets would be Creative Fabrica. Many of y'all probably are familiar with that. I love Creative Fabrica. That also is a monthly subscription. And I do have a link in the description that'll give you a $1. Well, I think it's in the description. If it's not, I'll add the link at the end of this. But it gives you a $1 trial of their all access pass. So kind of similar to what Placeit does, but it's also like an all access. They have tons of different graphic design assets on the platform, and you can trial it, I believe, for 30 days for $1. So I'll put the link for that too, if that's not already in the description. There are other places too. I mean, there's so many places that you can do this stuff. You can buy them on Creative Market, which is also a wonderful platform to buy mockups, that kind of stuff. You can do a lot of creative, like graphic design things on Canva Pro. So yeah, lots of options for that. Okay, I think I have time for a couple more questions. All right, Charlene, great question. What's the best way to set up an email list to promote free or helpful content and blogs? And how do I link this to my Etsy shop? Great question. So this is what we dive into like in depth in our Etsy course, the Scale Your Sales Academy that's coming. We have a whole email marketing section where we like step-by-step walk through this, but I'll give you like the basic overview because there's several steps involved in this. Step number one is to decide what you're going to use a lead magnet to attract people to sign up to your email list. So if you're starting from ground one, you have no emails on your email list, you want to build a list, right? The first step is to decide what your lead magnet will be. And a lead magnet can also be called an opt-in, a freebie, a freemium, but it's basically just it's either a downloadable digital file or a document of some sort, or it can be a video file, an audio file. It's something that's downloadable that your target audience will find really helpful and useful. It's something that you're going to create and give to them for free in exchange for them signing up to your email list and giving you, their name and email address. So they're getting value, you're getting them on your email list. So you're gonna decide what your lead magnet is. And actually inside the course, I give you a document with tons of lead magnet ideas. There's just so many different things. People do resource guides and cheat sheets and worksheets and calculators and webinars. And there's just so many ebooks, so many different types of lead magnets. So you would decide what you can create, what will be valuable for your audience. And then you're going to link that to a landing page. So a landing page is not a full website. It's one specific web page that is there for the sole purpose of delivering your lead magnet to your customer, getting them to sign up, right? It's very simple. All it is just one simple page with a form on it that says something about your lead magnet, whatever it is. Hey, download the free guide here. And then it has first name and email address, and they click submit. They're now put on your email list and they have instant access to download that freebie that you're giving them. So along with this, you need to, of course, before you do any of that, you need to choose who your email service provider is going to be. There's a lot of different great options. I have used MailChimp, ConvertKit. I'm currently using Kajabi. Lots of great options for email service providers, landing page providers. There are specific providers that provide only the landing page, and then you sync and integrate them with your email provider. And then there's some that offer both within the platform. So for instance, Lead Pages is a landing page software. So you would, if you're going to use Lead Pages to create a landing page, you would need to sync that with your email provider. On the other hand, something like ConvertKit offers both. So ConvertKit has the landing page and the email provider within the same platform, and they're already linked, and you do it all within ConvertKit. So you would get your landing page set up, you create your lead magnet, get it all linked, and then you promote it, right? So nobody's going to know it's out there unless you promote it to them. You need to let them know, hey, I have this free resource for you. Download it here. And you give them the URL for the landing page for them to sign up. So at that point, people are starting to download the freebie to get on your email list, and then you're going to set up a welcome sequence, which is basically a series of emails that are set up to automatically deliver to the people that are signing up for your list immediately, right when they sign up. Like that first day, they're going to get a welcome email from you. Then you're going to set up maybe one the next day, and maybe one on the 4th or 5th day from then. It's up to you how many emails you want in that welcome sequence, but you're going to go ahead within your email service provider and set up an automation to automatically send those out. So they're being welcomed to your list immediately. You're introducing yourself, you're engaging with them, talking with them, and you're creating a really solid relationship from day one when they enter your email list. So then they're on your email list, they've gone through the welcome emails. And then at that point, the goal is kind of just to like consistently communicate with your email list. So a lot of people do a weekly newsletter or some kind of weekly like broadcast to their email list. But having an email list is wonderful because as opposed to social media following, you own your email list, right? Social media could crash at any moment. Like these platforms could go away at any time. The algorithm could change at any time and decide not to ever show you your audience your posts again, so you don't have much control on social media as opposed to an email list where you have complete control. You own that list, and you have complete control with putting what content out to them that you want when you want. So that's why I personally recommend using both social media and email, but that's the basic process for setting up an email list and starting that from day one. Like I said, I know that's a lot of steps. I don't have time in today's video to like get into the nitty gritty of all of those steps, but that is something that we walk through in depth inside the Scale Your Sales course. If you're interested in that, make sure to hop on the wait list for that course. And we'll be sending out updates as we get closer to launch. The link to hop on the wait list is in the description below. Great question. Science Geek, your videos have been so helpful. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm so glad. I really am so glad to help you. Happy to be able to come alongside you guys so you don't have to learn the hard way on a lot of things like I did. And I'm not even like halfway down through these comments. I'm sorry I'm not going to have time to get to all of these today. Let's see. Science Geek says, so is it worth paying for Etsy ads in the beginning? So Etsy ads are paid ads on the Etsy platform. I didn't actually start using Etsy ads in the beginning. I didn't really like dig into that until a few years in, but I definitely have seen results from Etsy ads. I won't say that I'm ready like to pour a ton of money into them. I have always been very conservative with how I have used Etsy ads. I have used it as kind of more of a support rather than like my main strategy. I've always gotten most things in my business organically, and I have like paid for very little marketing, which I think is the better way to do it anyway. But if you're just really having trouble in the beginning getting your listings in front of people, I would say don't be afraid to try a little bit with Etsy ads. It can definitely help. When we opened our second shop, that was one of the main things we did from the beginning, and it did help kind of speed things up a little bit in terms of getting our listings viewed. So in the beginning, I would say, I know a lot of us don't have a lot of a budget for things like that in the beginning, but if you have a little bit, like even $2 a day or something, $1 a day, $2 a day, to just try it and then track your analytics, because you can actually go and see your analytics for your ads, see how many people have viewed and clicked on your ad, what purchases came from those ads, things like that. So keep track with your data as you try it out. If you see that it's just not working, or it's just not many clicks are coming through, not many sales from the ads, then you can always turn it off and cancel that at any time. I do think it's worth trying if you have a little bit of a budget for it in the beginning. All right. We have one question here. Is it too saturated to sell digital planners on Etsy? I would say it is very saturated, but like I mentioned before, it really just depends how you look at it. Like if you're willing to really research and learn strategies for success and put in the effort to implement them, I won't say that it's an easy thing, and I won't say it's like an overnight simple thing. It takes effort and it takes learning and it takes the right strategies. But if you're willing to do all that and to put in that effort, it's definitely possible and definitely doable to break through, especially with marketing on external sources. That's going to be your key, is not just relying on organic Etsy traffic, but promoting and marketing and driving traffic from social media platforms, from your email list, from your blog, from word of mouth, from maybe having brand ambassadors or partnering with influencers. There's so many different ways to market and to drive traffic from external sources. So that's going to be the key, especially in a saturated market, is to get that traffic coming in from somewhere else, get the sales racking up on your listings from somewhere else first. And then once the sales start racking up, that's when the Etsy algorithm picks you up and will start to organically show you more. And you can rely more on the organic Etsy traffic. Okay, I'm going to take maybe one or two more questions here. Let me know. I do want to answer any questions about the course. If you guys have any questions about Scale Your Sales, go ahead and type that in, because at the end, I'm going to kind of like skip down and see if there's any course related questions. But I'm going to take a few more of these Etsy questions real quick. Let's see here. Okay, Michelle asks, when considering email marketing, how important is it to have your store in a specific niche versus selling a broad variety of items? Well, I think regardless of email marketing or not, it's smart to have a specific niche when you're selling online. I think it's something where it's a couple things. Number one, people like to buy from the expert in whatever they're looking for. So if I'm looking for a candle, I want to buy from a shop that either only sells candles because it appears that they're an expert, that's all they do, or maybe just like spa products or something related. I probably wouldn't likely buy a candle from a shop that was also selling like print on demand t-shirts and like planners and pet items. Like it's just none of it's related. And so it's confusing to a buyer. And subconsciously, they think, well, that person's probably not as much of an expert in candle making because they're selling all this other stuff too. Whereas the candle shop is obviously an expert in candles. So it's a subconscious thing with buyers. You want them to feel like you are the specialist, you are the expert, and they're more likely to buy from a shop like that that's really specific in one niche. Now, I know it's a little weird because you think, well, by getting so specific, I'm probably ruling out like all these other people. I would get a lot more sales and customers if I offer a broad like variety of things, but really actually offering too broad of a variety of things hurts you more than helps you. And you sell better to the people that are specifically looking for your specific thing. That doesn't mean that like eventually you can't broaden it a little bit if it's still sort of related. Like if you're in the home decor niche, like you don't, like for instance, I pretty much only sell wreaths at this point, but there was a time when I did have signs and I had a couple of different other types of like home decor related items. And I felt okay about having all of that in the same shop because it was all within the broader like home decor niche. So I'm not saying it has to be like one specific thing. I think as long as the broad niche is specific enough and everything within your shop fits within that niche, then that's fine. That's specific enough, but I definitely would not be offering several different of those broad categories like digital downloads and print on demand shirts and handmade, spa products and like home decor, and like a lot of different things. I think the more you can niche down and get specific, the more likely you are to appeal to your target customer. And if you want to sell something else eventually that is like totally unrelated, you can always open a second shop. You can always do that and have just two completely different shops that you run. Okay, I'm going to take one more Etsy question and then see if there's any more course questions here. Okay. Let's see. This one says, should your shop name be more grounded and relate closely to your product, or is it better to go with something creative that is catchy, fun, or easy to remember? I think you can really go either way and have success. I think either of those are fine. There are different ways that people come up with their shop name. So it really depends on what reflects your brand and what you're going for the best. Do you want people to see your brand as a very like put together, established, professional, almost kind of formal feel, or do you want it to be more of like a personal, lighthearted, fun, friendly kind of thing? Both are fine and both appeal to different audiences, but think about your target audience, who you're trying to reach, and what would appeal to them the most. That's what I try to think of when I'm making branding decisions, is two different things. Number one, who am I as a person, and what do I personally want my business to appear like to others and to be like? What is the core of my business, right? And how do I want that to like publicly appear to people? And then number two, my target customer, what would appeal to them the most? So if you haven't really thought through who your target customer is yet, or your target market, you really need to get clear on who you're trying to reach, because you won't know, if you don't know that, you won't know what kind of messaging to use or anything like that. You'll really need to get clear on that first and identify who your target customer is and think about what would appeal to them the most. But with those two that you mentioned, the more grounded, like product-based name or more of a fun, catchy name, I would say either can work. Just be sure that they are easy to read and easy to remember. Those are the two key things. You don't want a name that is like some kind of weird word that nobody knows. You want them to be able to remember it and type it in easily just from memory. So that's what I would say keep in mind for sure with that. Okay, I'm going to see if there are any course-related questions now. All right, the sign up page is, let's see, I think you're asking for the waitlist sign up page. So the course is not open publicly for enrollment yet, but you can sign up for the waitlist. So to do that, it's www.kate-hayes.com. The link for that is in the description of this video. It's just, you'll just input your email to be put on that wait list, and the course will hopefully be launching. Our goal is to launch it at end of June. So from now until then, we'll be sending out updates as we get closer. We'll also be sending out exclusive course related content just for our waitlist people. That'll be some content that nobody else is receiving except for our waitlist people. So by signing up for that waitlist, you're not enrolling in the course or anything like that. You're just saying, hey, I'm interested. Send me some updates. So the link for that's in the description, kate-hayes.com. And I think that might be all of our questions. I'll give it one more minute. If anybody has any questions on any of the modules, any of the content, anything like that, definitely type it in. Let me know. Yeah, I think that was everything I wanted to cover. These were some really great questions. Thank you guys. I'm sorry I didn't have time to get to all of them, but I think those were some really great questions. Glad you guys could hop on. Don't forget to check out that cheat sheet that's linked. I believe it's linked in the description. I'll double check that in a minute, but that trend elements cheat sheet, I think that could really help you out in giving you those 85 prompts. And I don't see other questions for the course now. So let me know if you think of anything. If you're watching the replay, comment with your question. I'll be happy to hop on and answer that for you. But otherwise, thank you guys for hopping on today. I'm so glad to be able to connect with you, and I will talk to you very soon.